Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back once again to another Minecraft tutorial. Today we're going to be building an inn for the town that the Baron owns, and it's going to be relatively similar to the one you've seen over in that town over there with the windmills, since I know a few of you guys really did like that one, although just to mix it up a bit, I'm going to be changing a few things on it, and for starters, it actually is going to be flip-flopped all the way around, so it's pretty much like you're looking in a mirror. Now, to begin with, wherever I place one block, you are going to need to make a pillar of 4, like this. So then that's going to be on the far left, and by the way, before we start, just so you guys can see how much room you're going to need, I'll give you guys a quick little overhead view like this, and then the door is going to be right here. Now, so that's going to be where the first pillar is on the far left. Then you're going to want to skip a gap of 3 and place your next pillar here. Then moving over to the right, we'll skip another gap of 3, and this is going to be the door section. Place our third pillar right here. Then for this one, we're going to be dividing it into 2 gaps of 3, so your first one's going to be here. Then you'll place a second one right there. And now coming off to the far right, and this is actually the far end of the build, we're going to skip that last gap of 3 and place that here. Now for the back side, it's going to be consistent of these 2 gaps of 3 right here. So it's going to be kind of matched up at the front. And then for the back, we'll just do a gap of 1, then a gap of 3, then moving left, we'll do a gap of 1 again. Then back here on this side, so starting from the front, this is going to be over on the left. We'll have this be a gap of 1, then we'll move backwards, making that a gap of 3. Then move right with the gap of 1, place that final pillar in, and that is all. Now if you want to get a head start on this, this is actually going to be a little overhang, so this isn't actually going to be a room that you'd walk in from the inside, but instead we'll place in a pillar of 4 for now. 1 right here, so that's going to be in the same row as that middle section. Then we'll skip another gap of 3 and place that next pillar right there. And what's going to happen with this is the building itself is actually going to sort of overhang right here, so you can walk on the second floor up here, but for the first floor there's not going to be any walls. And now for the next step, after you've raised each one of those pillars up so they're 4 blocks tall in total, what you can do is start creating cross beams like this to connect all of these blocks together. And also, just to add a little bit more detail, you can place in some blocks like this on the corners so they sort of stick out, and this is going to add a lot of detail, and then in the end it's also going to create some structure which will make this thing a bit more realistic. Now for this spot, if you're wondering how to connect the overhang, what you're going to do is actually connect each one of these together like this, and then you'll need one final one right here, although if you're thinking about it, there's probably no need to connect this middle one, although you can if you want to. And now that that's done, just to make sure you guys got everything placed down in the correct places, what I'll do is give you guys this quick little view here, and now we can fly down and move on to the next step. So for this next step, we're going to be filling in the walls, and for this you're going to want to take your stone brick blocks and just fill this in along the first row, leaving these top 2 blocks empty. And then once you've done that all the way around, you can fill in everything with your cobblestone. Now that that's done, you should have something that looks relatively similar to this all the way around your build, and you may be noticing how boring and flat this looks. So what we're going to do is add some extra details such as the windows. So for the first one, I'm thinking it might be a good spot to put right here. And when placing down your windows, one thing you always want to keep in mind is, can they actually see anything, and what they are looking at, is that actually important? So if it's not, you might not want to have a window on that wall, just because it sometimes looks better from the inside if you don't. Now for the next places where you're going to want to put these, I would suggest maybe placing 2 on the front in between each one of these 3 wide gaps, just like so. And then since this right side is quite open and does have a relatively nice view, you may also want to put one in there. However, for the back side, since all it looks at is a mountain in my case, I'm not going to be placing any there. And then even on this side over here, it still kind of just looks at dirt and grass, so I'm not going to place any there. However, if you have a spot where maybe one of these sides that I didn't place a window has something nice to look at, or has a lot of room in front of it, then you may want to change stuff up and actually add a window there. Now next up on the agenda, what we're going to be doing is placing in some more support on the first floor. Now to start that off, we're going to grab our spruce wood stairs and place these facing upside down underneath each one of the sticky bits surrounding the build. And then I also noticed that when doing this on the overhang section at least, what you can do is place 2 of them in the middle like this, so it creates a nice looking archway, and in the end that creates a really great looking effect. Now for the next step, what we can do is grab our stone brick stairs and place these on the bottom of each one of the pillars like this, and then to make it even more fortified, you can grab your stone brick half slabs and place those on top like so. Now when adding these in, I would probably recommend not placing them in on this whole section and even this right side over here, although you can also place one there and it should look fine. Although everywhere else on this front little area, I would highly recommend leaving off. And next, one last little bit of detail you can add to the first floor is placing in some stone brick half slabs like this on each one of the 3 wide gaps, and I find that adds a lot more detail. Now, once again on this front section, I would probably recommend leaving those out, but anywhere else is totally fine. Now, after you are done adding all that extra detail, what you can do is pick your materials of choice and you can go ahead and fill in the whole second floor. Now for this, since I didn't think the birchwood looked too particularly well in this overhang section, what I chose to do is a little two-tone color with the wood, and I found that looked a little bit better. So now that the first floor is all complete, what we can do is start working on the shape and size of our second floor. So to begin with that, we're actually going to place a pillar of 4 right here on both of these blocks, and then we will do the exact same thing over on this side. Now after you've got those in, you can go ahead and take your spruce wood back out and connect them all with cross beams, and after you've got the cross beams finished, you can add in your sticky addy bits. And now for the next step, what we can do is start shaping some of our roofs on the second floor. So for this, instead of actually placing our blocks back on this row, we're actually going to come out one and place that block right there. So for the first roof, we'll actually raise this up 2, and same thing with right there. And then for the next one, we will also bring up 2 tall, and then to finish it off, we'll just place 1 block on the top right there. And we're actually going to have 2 of these roofs right here, so we'll do the same thing right here, and it's just going to work its way over until it connects with this one. And for the next roof, this one's going to end up being placed over here on the far right. And by the way, every single roof on the second floor is going to be the exact same shape, so hopefully we won't have too much of a problem with that. Now for this one on the back side, this one's going to get a bit awkward, and that's because it's going to be placed in the middle instead of lining up perfectly symmetrical. So we'll place these 2 blocks to sort of help us place the rest of it in. And once again, this is going to be the exact same shape, so just keep doing the 2 at a time, and then for the top, we'll just do 1 like that. Lastly, on the second floor, we are going to have 1 roof on the far left of the build, so we'll start this one. Once again, it is going to be placed on the sticky addy bit, so we'll raise each of these up 2 tall, then we'll do 2 more blocks on top of those, like this, and then we'll just top it off with 1 block like that. Next, after you've finished all those roofs on the second floor, we're actually going to add even more on the third floor. So the first one is going to be right here, so you can raise this up 2 tall, just like the rest. And then once again, go up 2 blocks. Same thing right here. Oops. And then add that final block right there. And you guys are going to need to add 1 more of those right over on this side. And now, last but not least, our final little bit of roof. So this one's actually going to be a different size, probably the only one in this build that is. So for this, we're actually going to find the middle block, which will be right here on the third floor roof. And what we'll do is, like you see right here, we'll place 2 blocks on either side of that, and then delete this one right there. And then we'll raise that up 2 blocks, and then for the final one, we'll raise that up 1. And then, of course, do the same thing right here. Next up, one little tip that I might suggest is actually connecting each one of the roofs with a crossbeam, like this. And what this does is just make sure when you're placing all the rest of the blocks, it ensures you that everything's going to connect nicely in the correct spots. So you don't have to fill in every single block, but at least if you are going to do this, I'd say place yours on the top of each little section like this. After you're done placing all those blocks in, what you can do is take out your wall material. In this case, for me, it's going to be the white stained clay. But as I've said many times in the past, if you are on default texture pack, at least in my opinion, this doesn't look too good, so you may want to stick to the white wool, or maybe even a light gray wool, or even a mixture of that might look pretty good. So for these walls, on this one, where it's just going to be flat and it's not a roof, you can fill in the whole thing right on the end, like that, where you do have the roofing sections like this. Instead of filling it in right on this block, what you're going to want to do is actually push it 1 block back so it gives it more depth and almost a 3D effect like this, and that's just going to give it a lot more detail than it would have otherwise. And if you're wondering what to do with these gaps right here, I would just recommend taking your wall material and filling in underneath the spruce wood logs, just like I'm doing right here. And once all of your walls are filled in, we're going to be adding a little bit more detail to them. So the first thing we can do is, of course, adding in some windows, especially where you have the triangle shapes where the roof starts. So you'll place in some windows like that, and then on the roof sections, what you're going to want to do is place in a row of half slabs like this, and then a row of fences on top of that. Now, on places where you have a flat wall like this, just so it covers it up a bit more, what I like to do is actually take some grass blocks like that, and then I'll grab my stairs and place these facing inwards like so, and then I'll take a half slab block and place that right in the middle. And then just so you can't see the grass from the outside, what I usually do is take my trapdoors like this and just place those right, oops, gosh dang it, right on the outside like that. And then we'll take whatever plants we want and just fill those in right here. And once you're done with that, you can fill in your window. Now to start with the outline of the roof, it's really simple, especially since all of these are going to be the exact same. So hopefully I'll only need to show you how to make them one time. Now this is only going to apply to the bigger ones that we've made, so we'll save these smaller ones for the end. So to build these, what you're going to want to do is place in a full block of spruce wood right above that first too tall block, and then everything else is going to be made out of the half slabs or these stairs. So to begin with, we'll do 2 upside down stairs beneath that full block, and then 2 upright stairs on the outside of those, and then above the full block we will do 2 more stairs like this, then once again 2 more upside down stairs, and then to finish it off we will do 2 upright stairs like this. Now switching over to our half slab, the first one is going to be placed right here on the top of that spruce wood block, and then above that we can use a full block of spruce wood like this. Then we will switch back to our upside down spruce wood stair, and then to end this on the top, what we're going to do is place in a half slab just like so. So now that all those are finished and made, I'll fly around really quick just so you guys can see and make sure that you have done everything correctly. Now the one area that I noticed you may have had trouble with was right here in the center of this. Now for this spot, I'll just show you what I did. So after I got to this point, what I ended up placing in was just a upright stair like that, and then beneath it I did a full block right here, and then beneath the full block I did a upside down stair like that. Now once you have all these roofs in, the next thing you're going to want to do is actually connect the very bottom of it all the way across, so all of these little triangle shapes end up connecting together. One more thing that I thought I'd mention is that if you have a sticky addy bit like this right underneath a bit of roofing like that, so you have the one gap of the wall material, I find it looks really nice if you just stick a fence in there. And then here's another case where it's going to look really good. So my thinking behind that small little triangle shape that we ended up adding was just to not sort of have the triangle shape itself, but just to have something that sort of will help us break up the roof. So I'll show you how to do this on the other side. So what I did was really quite simple. It's only going to take a few blocks. So we'll place our first little stair right here, and then the second one will come up like this, and we'll do the same thing on the other side so everything connects. And then on the top we'll do the same thing we've done for each of the other roofs. So we'll place in the half slab, then the full block, then the stair, and then the half slab on top of the stair. And then as always we'll fill in underneath these with our upside down stairs just so they don't have the ugly corners like this. And then after you've done that, you can take your stairs and we'll have one facing out towards the little design, and then the other one can face inwards towards the main portion of the roof like this. And then you're going to have that same sort of pattern throughout the rest of the build. So we'll have the stairs facing out towards the little designs, and then after that all the other stairs will actually face inwards like this. And then when you have a spot where they're going to end up connecting, say for instance something like this, that's when you're going to want to switch to your half slab and place a block in like that. So now that we have that done, what I'll do is fly around once again just so you guys can make sure you have everything down, and so it looks relatively similar. So for me it connected all nicely and it just turned out well. So hopefully the same thing was able to work out for you. So after that, once you've completed it, you can take out your roofing material. For me, it's going to be the red stained clay. However, if you don't like the look of this, you can always use another color clay. Or of course, if you're just going for a straight up medieval build, or just otherwise don't like the look of the clay, you can always use the oak wood stairs, and I find that looks really well. And if you're looking for one last little bit of detail, what you can do is fly around and find all of your sticky addy bits on the second or third floor, and just place in a little spruce wood stair underneath it like that, just so it doesn't look so unsupported and out of the blue. And another last thing you could do is something to make the door look a bit more recognizable. So what I do for this is I just place a stair above it and then 2 stairs on either side, just to make it look a little more fancy like that. Right guys, so that is going to do it for today. So please let me know in the comments what you thought. Hopefully you did enjoy this little tutorial. If you have any ideas for future builds or anything else we can add in this town, please let me know. By the way, this is going to be a sort of fishing village down here. So if you have any specific ideas for that, that would be awesome and really helpful. But anyways guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy it like I said. And as always, I will see you in the next one.